It's the Raw Meat Podcast, the most mediocre wrestling podcast on the internet. With the smart Greg Adams, the nature boy Jay Watley, and the hardcore icon Puff.
It's the Raw Meat Podcast. Greg Adams over on this side, Puff is on that side of the desk, and Jay Watley's chair is filled with my feet because I'm putting him up since he's again, not here, but he's actually doing like real work. It's not that he just decided he didn't want to be here.
Are we sure about that?
No, I'm not, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt.
He showed up one day, and I was pretty sure he didn't want to be here.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that. Whatever. Jay Watley will always be a part of this podcast. It is episode 33. This is the Payback pre-show. Big pay-per-view coming up this Sunday, which, interestingly enough, I saw some people online, some rumblings and discussion about this. The pay-per-view after WrestleMania
tends to be pretty awesome.
Has been better than WrestleMania in, I think, whatever I saw somebody put out there, like 8 of the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. And it's been different. It hasn't been Payback the whole time. It was Extreme Rules. It was Backlash. It was a lot of other things. But it seems to be, and I don't know if they're structuring it this way intentionally or if it just happens to go this way, but a lot of things happen at WrestleMania that aren't for like real, true, deep wrestling fans. A lot of the WrestleMania stuff are for, because it's the Super Bowl of professional wrestling, so you have a lot of your halftime entertainment from like the Super Bowl taking place at WrestleMania.
Yeah, and you have like the guys that aren't involved in anything, like The Rock come out and Stone Cold. So storylines kind of go out the window, and it's more for pure entertainment. Now we're back to business.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of what takes place at the pay-per-view directly after WrestleMania, in a lot of cases over the last decade or so, has been either the cleanup or rectifying bad storylines that fell apart during WrestleMania. So hopefully we'll have the culmination of all of that, although I am still skeptical because we don't know what the hell is going on with Shane, but hopefully that'll all come out in the wash and they'll be able to save that story. Maybe we'll find out what's in the lockbox.
See, on my notes, as you can tell, I don't even mention that. I'm ignoring that storyline exists until they like that may be bathroom break time on Sunday.
Maybe, although I can write down 2 or 3 of these that I think will be bathroom break time. We're going to go through the entire rundown of the matches for Payback on Sunday, and we actually have a championship belt that will be our Raw Meat championship belt, and every time we have a pay-per-view, so once a month the belt could change hands, unless there's a challenge that pops up in the middle. I mean, if a challenger, a number one contender within this podcast wants to challenge for the belt midway through, and they want to develop some stipulations, we'll let that fly, but the basic idea will be that we will pick who we predict will win all of the matches on Sunday, and then come next week, next Monday, we will crown our champion based on who got most right.
I'm ready.
And we're not going to have anything on the in-between where it's like, I didn't predict who was going to win properly, but all of the stuff around the match I predicted right.
So we're just going with straight wins.
Straight wins. We're not going...
I'll beat your ass either way. It's all right.
No, all right, fine.
I'm going to be the Chris Jericho of this podcast.
This is the one part of our daily professional lives where you are more positive than I am on a regular basis. You can't be the Chris Jericho.
Sure I can.
All right, well...
Jackass.
Okay, that counts. Let's start. We're going to do the Payback pre-show or the kickoff show, whatever they want to call it this weekend. There is going to be a match, and unfortunately...
Hopefully Lita's wonderful bosom as
all
well.
All right. Back to the actual matches. There will be a kickoff show match, and somehow the WWE United States Champion has become just the kickoff show fodder. And you will see that belt defended. Kalisto versus Ryback on the kickoff show. Should we flip a coin to see who goes first, or do you want me to pick first?
You go first this time.
Okay.
Usually I go first.
I have no problem with that. I believe that in this match we will see Kalisto defeat Ryback and retain the U.S. Championship. And do you want to know why?
Sure.
Because none of it matters. That's why. That's honestly why. It doesn't matter at this point. Keep the belt on the face. He can drop it to somebody on Raw, and then we can actually have another title change on Raw.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on the fact that the belt doesn't matter, and it seems like they just don't give the ass of a rat about it. But I'm going to disagree on the pick. I'm going Ryback because in all logical, how many wins does Kalisto have over Ryback at this time? At this point, Ryback is due, and if they want to make it important again, Ryback is at least a believable opponent for guys like Rusev. Because, yeah, you can't have Kalisto keep on winning against big guys. Yeah, it was a great big guy versus little guy story for a little while. Then people quit caring. It's time to switch hands, let Ryback go 30 days, and then get his ass beat.
That actually does make sense, just because Ryback is recently an Intercontinental Champion.
Mm-hmm.
So he has held other belts, and he could help to bring that belt up. But I just don't see them doing it because I don't think they care. And who knows? They may just be holding on to this thing until Memorial Day. John Cena shows up, reclaims the belt. We go back to U.S. Champ is here.
Well, yeah, I think that's in the cards.
I don't hate that idea, by the way.
But I think you have to give Ryback a win eventually. And this is his time. Let him get the belt. Let him strut around. Let him do whatever it is he does.
Yeah, either way, I ultimately don't care because I think that it ends up passing hands from either of these two guys within, like you said, 30 days, 60 days. If they keep Kalisto strapped up, they are selling Kalisto masks still, even though he's on the kickoff shows.
Well, they're on sale now. Half price,
okay.
So it doesn't matter.
All right.
They're not making any money off of Kalisto.
All right, so we have our first disagreement in our first predicted match for Payback on Sunday. The next match we will be predicting is Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler. I picked first on the last, so you pick first here.
I'm going Baron Corbin. Just because if they're building him the way they're building him, he's got to get the win. I love Dolph Ziggler, and I hate the fact we've had this conversation dozens and dozens of times. I hate the fact he's always the guy that gets his ass beat by someone to put them over. But since he's on that train, he better stay on it.
Dolph Ziggler is better and deserves better than where he's slotted right now. But I think the reason that a lot of people feel like he's better and deserves better is because he's the guy who's willing to do this.
Yeah.
And he's the guy who's willing to bury himself to elevate younger talent.
And he makes it look so good when he does it, too.
Yes, he absolutely does. And that's also why I will be picking Baron Corbin in this match. Baron Corbin over Dolph Ziggler. Although, the thing that resonates in the back of my mind is that we've had a lot of weird finishes in this little rivalry where you've had countouts and different disqualifications. There's always the plausible possibility that there could be a double countout here.
Or a Dolph wins by DQ because Baron goes nuts on him.
Exactly. But just because it's a pay-per-view and they're building this character, I take Baron Corbin, and I also hope that they stick with the red light instead of the white light on the intro.
Yeah, I'm digging everything they're doing with that guy right now. And I've said it when he was in NXT. He's got a lot of talent, a lot of potential. He just needs to take that next step, and he's been taking that next step. As long as they keep pushing him in the right direction, he's going to be golden in a couple of years.
As long as he continues to work. That's the big thing about that guy, because he is the kind of, not just character, but he's the kind of person where what the locker room thinks of him and guys like Dolph Ziggler is going to make or break that guy's career. Because if you put him in with Dolph on one of these matches where he really needs to look good and look strong, and Dolph is not feeling it, if they are not happy with his attitude backstage, Dolph doesn't have to make that match look good. That can be a stiff match. And, Baron Corbin is walking on eggshells in some cases, but right now he is being built to the moon, and I'm pretty okay with it.
You know what would be a good spot? I was just thinking about this. Ryback takes title from Kalisto. Baron Corbin goes after Ryback. You have two big destroyers just beating the hell out of each other for 4 weeks.
I will embrace that idea as well, but I will also be cautiously worried about Baron Corbin, being that he's a guy who is not a 10-year veteran right now, and you put him in a ring with Ryback, who has injured 10-year veterans. That's where I would be concerned.
Well, yeah, that's But he's got to fight somebody.
Yeah, it's not Baron Corbin's fault. Next matchup we have is the grudge match of grudge matches. I'm kind of upset, actually, that this is a Payback undercard match.
Well, you know this rivalry is going to carry out at least another few months, if not all the way through SummerSlam, where it's going to be a big Donnybrook street fight.
Right. I kind of wish that they would have built these two guys in different avenues until they were back involved with the IC belt. I kind of wish that there was a belt on the line in some way when it comes to Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I do understand that their rivalry is so good
It doesn't need a
that
belt.
it doesn't need a belt, and maybe we end up seeing it in a year or two where, they do this rivalry now, maybe they carry it out for another month or two, and then by the time we get to Royal Rumble, by the time we get to WrestleMania next year, maybe there is a belt involved, and maybe for the first time in a long time we have an Intercontinental match at WrestleMania that's just 1v1.
That would be amazing.
And you could even, keep the ladders, but just make it a one-on-one.
Go back to the Ring of Honor match, which was just brutal.
If there's anything that El Generico and Kevin Steen can do, it's a ladder match.
You know what I think is, personally, we'll pick, the winner here in a second, but personally, I think they're going to build this up. They're going to go their separate ways for a little while. One of them's going to get a belt of some sort, and then by Extreme Rules, it's going to be like a strap match or a table match or just something crazy for whatever title one of them brings home.
All right, and in the Sami Zayn Kevin Owens match, I believe it's my turn to pick first.
Yep.
And I will pick Kevin Owens.
I'm going with KO too.
This is not going to work out well for us if we're trying to figure out who's going to win. I believe that Kevin Owens will win it only because you have to deny the babyface before you allow him to win.
Yep.
And this could be a lot like the NXT Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn interactions where you're going to see like outside the ring powerbomb on the apron. You're going to see just absolute destruction. And Kevin Owens walks away from a what looks like a broken man.
Yes. And I really hope they take that broken man and turn him back into Generico. Personal preference.
Will never happen. But
I know.
maybe just one time. Like,
That
I
would
think
be
they
awesome.
did that just one time in
They
NXT as
did.
like a gimmick and a joke. But if just one time he comes out with a mask on, it would help us. The smarks and the internet would go insane. But the 9-year-old in his Roman Reigns shirt would have no idea what's going on.
Which is the best part.
All right. We have a very similar match to the Baron Corbin-Dolph Ziggler matchup that we already talked about. They are putting Chris Jericho versus Dean Ambrose on this card. They've been building this with promos that have been better than average, but I think better than average for the rest of the roster, but I honestly think below both of these guys.
I don't know if it's... They're trying to get Dean Ambrose to be like this comedian where he's got a shtick, which is weird. It's not bad. It's just when you go from being like a crazy nutcase to Rodney Dangerfield in a leather jacket, it's a bit of a knee-jerk, like, what is happening?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like evolution. It feels like... knee-jerk I think would be a good... But there's nothing that they're really knee-jerking to. They're just trying to find another dimension to his character, and I think that they've forced this into the wrong direction.
But the good thing for Ambrose, as the person he is, he's naturally funny, so he's good at it. It's just... I don't know. Maybe over time, if they keep that kind of shtick, it'll grow on me. But right now, I hate it.
Well, what they say, like the best of the best, the Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling will always say in interviews, the best characters are always your own personality turned up to 11. That's what Dean Ambrose is doing. Hell, that's what Jericho does.
Yeah.
But when you do that, when you do take Dean Ambrose and you turn his personality up to 11, you don't need to feed him lines and give him scripted stuff, which I think is where we're getting hung up a lot, because when it was the Ambrose Asylum, he's running a talk show, and you're giving him like Jimmy Fallon lines, and they feel forced. It's just, I mean, it's not what he's about, and it's not what he needs to do.
Agreed. I agree with that 100%. All right, let's pick the match. Because hopefully we don't agree on this because we're like too similar.
I think we're going to agree on this, and I think it's your turn to pick first.
All right, Ambrose.
Ambrose.
He's got to go over.
Yeah.
He's had, 2 or 3 losses in a row. It's time for him to get a win. And the way they're building this with uber heel Jericho, he's got to get humbled at some point.
Yeah.
And Ambrose is the guy to do it.
And I think we are we're on the same wavelength here. I actually think that the reason that you would see Ambrose go over Jericho in this one is the same reason that I think you see Corbin go over Dolph, unless this Jericho-Ambrose thing is going to go on longer.
I don't think it will. I think this was just a placeholder spot for Ambrose and something to build for whatever Jericho's got next. I think Ambrose either gets into the title picture or a title picture or moves on. Maybe Lesnar's coming out on Monday. Maybe that ties in and it goes back after Lesnar after the. I don't know.
No, I really don't think there's any story left with Lesnar. He was beaten so clean and badly at Mania that there's really nothing left for him to go after Lesnar about. And my concern, you can find something to do with Dean Ambrose. You can put him in a title picture of any kind.
Hell, maybe he goes in the U.S. title thing to put some legitimacy to it. But I got a feeling he goes over and he's getting into something much bigger than Jericho. What Jericho does next, I have no idea.
Yeah, that's the other part of this is what is Jericho going to do?
Well, he's recording a Fozzy album.
Oh,
so,
maybe this is just towards the end.
Yeah, maybe he just gets pissed off, comes out on Raw, blah, 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 you don't respect me, Ambrose is an animal, screw you guys, I'm going home, and disappears, finishes his Fozzy album, does a couple of shows, and then comes back in 6 to 8 months, if he comes back at all.
That is plausible. I feel like Jericho, this incarnation of Jericho is starting to run its course. I think the most magical aspect of this last 8 months of Chris Jericho has been the storyline that he had with AJ Styles, Y2AJ. I wish we would have gotten more of that. I wish there would have been a longer run as Y2AJ before it imploded, but I think that they accidentally stumbled into that, and their time constraints didn't allow them to build that anymore. But I think that would have been a beautiful opportunity to have that go for like a month. Maybe a little bit longer, because I think we got like 2 or 3 weeks out of it. I wanted more Y2AJ. I wanted that to feel real before it imploded.
They're this close to winning the tag championships.
No, they never really were.
I know. But
speaking of, all right, go ahead.
Hold on. You just said the best moment of Jericho's 8-month run. My personal favorite, my best moment with Jericho is him calling the New Day Trap Queens.
Okay, yeah, that was great, but I mean,
I know what you meant. I just had to throw that out there because I love reliving it in my brain.
All right, and like I was trying to say, we're going to move into the tag team picture now because unfortunately we don't get the New Day defending the tag team titles at Payback. We have the tag team tournament sponsored by Bootios. The finals.
Hey, hold on. You got to hit the tagline.
No,
you got to hit the tagline.
Go ahead. Bootios.
They make sure you ain't booty.
And Bootios sponsoring the tag team tournaments. We will see the finals on Sunday night. It is basically the culmination of the last 4 or 5 years of NXT's tag team division coming to the main roster. Vaudevillains versus Enzo and Big Cass. I mean, that's how they've written it out officially, but I like just calling them Enzo and Cass better. So
yeah.
But this is basically the best of NXT for the last 4 years, all of a sudden just being on WWE and not headlining,
but in a main spot.
In a main spot on a pay-per-view.
In a big storyline, too, really.
Which is true. How do you feel about the Vaudevillains at this point?
I've always been a big fan of the Vaudevillains, but their shtick is not working on a grand scale. I don't know if it's the audience just doesn't understand them, or it's gotten old fast, or what's holding them back, but they get zero reaction from the audience. And what little reaction they get is Roman Reigns hate, not like, oh, they're great heels heat. Well,
I think I had figured it out the other night when I was watching them in the ring with New Day and Enzo and Cass. They're not meant to be super heels. They're not meant to be Dudley Boy heels.
Yeah.
They're meant to be the straight man in the comedy troupe. Because if you had Enzo and Cass just going toe-to-toe with New Day, cutting epic promos on each other,
it'd be insane.
Yeah, it would just, they'd be trying to laugh each other all the way, where when you have somebody who is positioned as the straight man, they're the ones who They bring the joke out, they set it on the tee, they hand you the bat, they walk you to the batter's box, and they allow you to hit the joke out of the park. And that's what the vaudevillains represent right now. It'll be interesting to see what happens when Bullet Club or Good Brothers or whatever we're calling...
We'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah,
hold that thought.
Whatever we're calling those guys, it'll be interesting when they get into the tag team division, if they actually do. Because there is the probability that those guys could be a tag team who operate outside of the tag team title picture. That is actually something that the Usos have been doing, the Dudley Boys have been doing.
Well, they've been busy putting people over.
Well, yeah, but both of those teams have had kind of flirts with the tag titles, but they haven't actually been serious consideration for it. Yet they're still good quality players in the tag team division.
I think the Anderson and Gallows team will be going for the titles, but we'll get into that when I get into my main event theorizations.
All right. So let's wrap up the tag team finals. It is my turn, I think, to pick. And
do we have to pick this one? Because I get a feeling we're on the same page once again.
We're probably on the same page. I think the next 3 is where we might start to go off the rails. And ultimately, we do still have the disagreement on the U.S. Championship, so it could all come down to that. But I have Enzo and Cass going over in the tag team tournament finals, setting up the Enzo and Cass New Day matchup that we are all salivating.
Yeah, that's what I got. How you doing? They're going to make the vaudevillains look soft. All right, there we go. I hit it.
And then we have the first ever singles match for the WWE Women's Championship, which I think they used to call it the Women's Championship way back in the day, so I can't really say that. But the
new belt.
The new belt.
Reintroduced.
The new championship. Not a belt. Vince would take us off the air.
Screw Vince.
Charlotte versus Natalya with... At this point, at time of recording, Ric Flair will be in Charlotte's corner and Bret Hart will be in Natalya's corner. However, I am almost more interested to see if either of those two show up more than I am the match. This has been a
crazy week. First thing, Bret Hart's like, I don't want to be there really, but I love Natty, so I'm showing up to show her support. And then like 2 days later, first Ric Flair has an accident at an airport, leaving an airport bar and splitting his head open. And then the very next night, or on SmackDown, he cut a promo telling Natty to kill herself.
Now look, I am going with the defense that the Ric Flair spokespeople came out with. He's
tired. He's 80.
He has led an epic life, and that has put him physically in a different spot than most of us will be at his age. He's been traveling with the whole European thing. He's already got an injury, and it sounded like he was Ambien flying to me. So there's a lot going on with Ric Flair. I feel bad for him more than anything. But I know how the WWE has recently been overreacting to things. Titus O'Neil.
I don't think...
Oh, man, I got something caught in my throat there real quick.
They're used to Ric Flair by now. But I just think the hilarious part is, like, someone sees Ric Flair stumbling around the airport and bust his head open. They're like, it's just Ric Flair.
You know, before we make our picks on this, I have a gut reaction to change my pick, but I don't think I'm going to do it. I mean, I'm kind of...
I know who I'm picking, and I'm going first. If you want me to go while you tear through your possible change of heart.
That's clever. I see what you did there.
Yeah, see?
All right, go ahead and make your pick.
I'm taking Natty with Bret Hart. Bret's going to neutralize Rick being a pain in the ass. And Natty, who's been overlooked and got taken off of TV at one point to be a trainer at NXT because they deemed her too old and blah, blah, blah. She's finally going to get her redemption, strap up, and move on to whatever's going to happen next.
Now, the
kid's got heart.
Part of me wants to agree with you here, and not for any of the reasons that you just brought up.
Of course not.
Part of me wants to agree with you and say that Natty will win the title strictly because of Total Divas. Total Divas has become such a how do I want to say this? it's not making decisions for them, but it's playing heavy into those decisions, hence Ava Marie being in a WrestleMania match. I think that it would create a dynamic that they will sorely need on that show, and they are very passionate about that show, and they're creating another one now.
Yeah,
you could start to see more reality TV based in WWE popping up on the E network. Even with all of that, though,
I just want to disagree on the Total Divas angle, because if it was Total Divas making the decision, Paige would be in this match, not Natty.
I don't think and much of the same reason within Total Divas that we see within WWE, Paige is the kind of personality that is not dictated by the belt.
Yeah.
See, the reason that I think that they would want the belt back on Total Divas is the belt suddenly makes whoever has it, because people watching Total Divas, there is a good amount of people who are wrestling fans that watch Total Divas just because they're wrestling fans. But I think
quit looking at me.
The majority of people who watch Total Divas don't watch professional wrestling. They don't watch WWE. So they don't understand that if Natty holds the belt only for like 2 or 3 weeks, that gives them enough B-roll and enough footage to create an entire season of Natty as champ on that show. So that is where my head is at. Yet, even with all of that going around, I'm sticking with Charlotte. Charlotte and Ric Flair do a Ric Flair, and they win this somehow. And we're going to roll towards probably SummerSlam. We are getting very close to setting up the Sasha Banks Charlotte singles competition. We're going to see what they did with Becky and Charlotte, where they stretched it out forever. We're going to see that with Sasha. It's coming soon, and I think Natty, here's what Natalya does with Charlotte. Brings out the best in her.
She does. They've had some great female women's matches over what was that, Roadblock?
The type of match that you chant, this is wrestling. And that's what we'll see at Payback. They'll probably give them a 15 to 20 minute match. Would not be surprised at all, especially if you're investing bringing Bret Hart into Chicago for it.
And the great thing about these two is it's going to be good no matter what. Plus, you add in Ric Flair and Bret Hart, it's just going to be an awesome however long they get.
So I do pick Charlotte. Charlotte retains, and you know what? It could be one of those champion's advantage. It could be a disqualification. She retains the belt.
I just have a feeling that the Ric Flair Charlotte train is about to derail, because they keep on hitting at it. They brought in Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
It's about time for that train to implode, and now would be a great time to do it.
Considering that there are now concerns about Ric Flair and what the travel is doing to him, that could play into this as well. You may be onto something, but at this point, I'm going to stick with Charlotte.
Okay.
Got 2 more to go.
I got a feeling this next one we're going to agree on, and the heavyweight championship is going to be a fist fight.
I actually feel like we're probably going to agree more on the championship than we will on the Intercontinental Championship, which is where we are at now. The Miz versus Cesaro. Swiss Superman shows up with dapper new suit gear, the tearaway suit, and the sunglasses, and whatever's going on with the earpiece.
I love it. I don't care. You know, I've always said he needs a thing. He just needs a thing to put him on that next level, and he finally got it, and he makes it look good.
Yeah, he does make it look good. I don't know how long it can last, because it is kind of like it happens once and you're like, whoa, that was incredible. And then it happens the second time and you're like, all right, that's kind of cool. And then the third time you're like, how do they keep putting these together?
See, Greg, that's where I disagree, because you're using logic, and as a wrestling fan, you can't use that. It's cool. Let it run its course until we get tired of it.
But the logic is what keeps me involved, and that's what I enjoy about it. I'm not a guy who, and we've talked about this a lot before, I'm not interested in a simple 5 moves of doom match. I don't care too much about what kind of how many times Kevin Owens is going to put somebody in a headlock, or how many different ankle lock variations somebody's going to use. Or
I love when Kevin Owens uses headlocks because he yells at them.
That is a bad example, but because what Kevin Owens does is he adds flair to it. It's not about the headlock. It's about what he's doing while he's doing it. I'm not here for the art of physical in-ring competition. When AJ Styles or Neville or Apollo Crews does something extremely athletic, yeah, that's awesome, and I like to see that. But as far as like a standard match goes, this is probably why I'm not a huge fan of like, and we talked about this week. I like Sheamus because he always gives a good match, but as far as his moveset goes, I don't care.
Yeah, he sucks as far as that goes.
I really don't care.
He's got 4 moves and a kick.
And he takes a long time to set him up, and but he still puts on a good John Cena style. Still puts on a good match. So I'm not here to watch how impressive the in-ring stuff is going to be from Cesaro. I want the storyline around it, which is not what he's bringing to this matchup right now. It's what The Miz is bringing to this matchup.
Yeah, The Miz is so freaking good at what he does. And now that they added his wife into it, he's even better.
Yeah, she has added a dynamic to him that he inferred before. You felt like he had that I have a hot French wife thing going on, but then when he actually trots her out and rubs her in your face
and calls her the Miz section.
Yeah, it's so
good.
That has added such a dynamic, but he doesn't, and that's so awesome because he doesn't even need that. But he has that.
The fact he has it in his bag and he can use it so well is why Miz is one of my favorite heels in the company right now.
Yeah, he's
actually probably the only actual real heel that can get heat constantly.
He's the only heel that doesn't get cheered by the majority of people in an arena. Mm-hmm. So this matchup to me is way too early in one of these storylines to actually have a change of hands, which is what's going to play into my pick here.
I got a feeling we're going to agree on where this is going.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I assumed that we wouldn't. I see The Miz retaining in this match, and I see him continuing on with the IC title.
Yep, I got Miz down for a win via heel win, either disqualification, he walks out of the match, whatever. And
this goes back to the I don't enjoy a lot of the in-ring competition aspect of it. I mean, you have to watch it because you want to see the stories being told in the ring. But what you'll probably see here is one of my least favorite victories in this type of match. You'll see Maurice get on the apron, distract Cesaro, roll up into a small package, quick 3 count, and that's how it ends. And that's not what I want. But
I think they do that spot. Cesaro kicks out. Miz gets just pissed, grabs a chair and cracks him in the dome or something. Or just walks out of the match and says, I don't need to beat you. I can leave with the belt right now and keep it.
That could happen. I do see it being more, it's going to be a clean victory because I don't think this Cesaro-Miz thing continues. I think Zack Ryder gets back in on this at some point. And who knows? Hey, it could be that Zack Ryder comes in and tries to help Cesaro.
And costs him the match.
Costs him the match somehow, but aggravates Miz, or Miz wins in the small package, and then as he's going to leave, all of a sudden the broski music hits, and you see Zack Ryder come flying in there to take out the Miz and set up what we'll see on Monday. But I do think that the belt leaves with the Miz.
Yeah, me too. And I hope for the love of God Zack Ryder gets back in the picture, just because I hate him being gone from TV again.
Yeah, we need more Zack Ryder and more Damian Sandow, and not just on SmackDown.
Ooh. Yeah, well, I was about to say, at least he got a match.
No.
He got beat. He got destroyed by Baron Corbin, but at least he was on TV 2 nights in a row, or 2 shows in a row.
I need more Sandow in my life on Raw. And maybe next week we'll take some time on one of the podcasts where I want to lay out how to make Raw better. And I think there's some very simple things that they could do that involve Damian Sandow that could make Raw better, and we can talk about that longer later. And maybe what this match represents, the WWE Heavyweight Championship match at Payback on Sunday, maybe this is the first step towards making Raw better. We have a huge matchup Sunday night. Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles, the way WWE views this, your 2 top baby faces going at each other the way that most fans view this, the guy that they want to be champion versus the guy they hate being champion.
Pretty much.
Now, you've got so many side stories in this. I just kind of want to give the floor to you because you have lists upon lists upon lists.
I do. I have a notebook full of Bullet Club theories.
And you know what? I've got mine, and I just want to pepper in my ideas with yours. Yours are way more articulate than mine are. Fire away. How is this? What do the Good Brothers have to do with this?
All right. First things first. There is going to be a Bullet Club. You want to know how I know that, Greg?
Tell me.
Because the WWE marketing team never misses an opportunity to make money. If you go to the WWE shop, you know what you don't see?
What?
Carl Anderson, Doc Gallows merch whatsoever. None. Within 10 minutes of AJ Styles getting in the Royal Rumble, there's a T-shirt up. Alberto Del Rio shows up. Within 10 minutes of that match with John Cena, he's got a T-shirt in the store. These guys have been around for, 3 weeks now, and they don't have a lick of merchandise?
Hold on. I'm trying to go buy my Anderson and Gallows shirt right now to see if this thing's available or not.
Yeah, hit up Pro Wrestling Tees. That's where you're going to find it. But that just shows to me, whatever you guys are seeing is not what's locked in. That's why there's not a T-shirt available.
Time out. Roman Reigns replica vests?
Oh, yeah, I totally want one just so I can wear it ironically.
All right. So you are saying the Bullet Club will show up. Are you predicting they'll be there Sunday based on the merchandise? Or are you just saying that they are coming at some point based on the merchandise?
Well, you got to make money off those guys, or what's the point of having them there? So I'm thinking it's either going to be Sunday or maybe Monday, but I'm going with Sunday.
So,
all right, so here's my pontifications for how the match is going to go. I'm picking AJ Styles to win, and here's how that's going to go down. AJ and Roman are having a great physical match. AJ does his little Pele kick, kind of dazes Roman, maybe hits him with one of his other big moves. Roman, but AJ's kind of beat up, so he's stumbling around. Out of nowhere, Roman Reigns hits the spear. Everybody starts losing their minds like, God, they're really going to let this bastard keep the title? Then out of nowhere, we're going to hear some music we've never heard before. And everyone's going to go,
I think this is where we're going to start to disagree, but continue.
And then all of a sudden, Gallows and Anderson will walk out and stand there with their arms folded, wearing their Good Brothers gear. And all of a sudden, they start walking down, and then we see Finn Balor come out. And then those three guys are going to march down. Something's going to happen. I don't think they're going to actually get involved, but Roman's going to have that dazed, puzzled look like he always does, like when he's cutting a promo where he doesn't know what's happening.
Like anytime?
Yeah. Like anytime he's near camera, he's going, oh, what's going on? And then he's going to turn around. AJ's going to hit him with the phenomenal forearm. 1, 2, 3, new champion. And then on the next night, on Monday, maybe even after the match, maybe they don't wait till Monday, AJ cuts this promo of, I appreciate the idea, but I didn't need your help, blah, blah, blah. And then the other guys are going to be like, oh, you don't need our help? And just beat that ass.
All right, so...
And that's going to set up Finn Balor versus AJ Styles down the road.
I honestly would love to see that happen. And like I just said, the one thing that I do not agree with in there is that when that music hits, I think that the way that we're going to see it first is we'll hear the music that we've heard now with Gallows and Anderson. That hits. We're probably in a situation though where Roman is dazed already, somehow finds the strength because that's what he always does.
Well, that's what I mean with the spear, but he's going to be too hurt to pin.
And I don't even think it's going to be the spear. I think it's going to be the Superman punch, and they're both going to do that thing where they lay on different sides of the ring. Ref starts the double 10 count. Gallows and Anderson music hits at that point. We see those guys start coming to the ring. Then I think we do hear music that we are familiar with. I think we hear Finn Balor's music. We see those two guys stop on the ramp. We see the Balor Club logo thing come up, and we see the formation of the Balor Club. And then Finn Balor comes down to the ring, and then from that point on. Now,
I think if they use anything from the NXT side of things, it's not going to be the Balor Club. It's going to be Bulletproof. A bunch of cocky
maybe
duty heads.
I hate that
I think it's great because if you have a bunch of just schmarmy, hey, we're better than you guys, what's a better thing to call them than bulletproof because they don't think they can be touched by anybody?
I think you got to keep the club aspect. And you know, they've mentioned Bullet Club, and we talked about that before. They've said Bullet Club so much that I feel like they have to have some kind of rights to Bullet Club. I would love to see them use Bullet Club in the full capacity. I honestly don't think that WWE, as much of a move as they have made in recent weeks, where they're saying New Japan Pro Wrestling on Raw. They're saying things that they wouldn't have said 3, 5, 10, 15 years ago, things that people would have been let go of the company if they would have accidentally let that slip. They're talking about it now, but I don't think that we are far enough down that road to where they're just going to say, like, here's the Bullet Club logo, slapped on them.
I think we might, and there's only one reason why I say that. Do you know what it is?
Lay it on me.
The Cruiserweight Championship thing. Because they have to have working deals with New Japan to have their talent entered into the thing, and they've had, there's 3 guys, I think, so far sort of alluded to from New Japan that were at NXT events. They were at this event. Oh, they would be great competitors in our Cruiserweight tournament. Yeah, I bet they would be because you probably already have them in and a deal worked out.
That actually does make a lot of sense, but I think there's a difference between having the Global Cruiserweight Challenge or whatever. They need a better name for that. Look, I would love nothing more than for Bullet Club to show up and for it to be actual Bullet Club on Sunday. Now,
either way, it's going to be awesome no matter what they call it.
You have made your prediction. Now, see, there's the thing. You think that it's going to be awesome no matter what.
You're a hater.
And here's where I have to come in to explain what WWE has been giving us for the last year. And I don't want to be that guy.
But you are that guy.
It seems like...
Negative Nancy Adams.
No, I want to be positive because I enjoy when they get it right. I enjoy nothing more than when they get it right. I was so happy to see Zack Ryder climb that ladder and get the IC title at WrestleMania.
I know, my eardrum still hurts from you yelling, woo, woo, woo!
So, I don't want to be negative, but... when presented with the product that we have been presented with for the last however long, I predict that at Payback on Sunday, Roman Reigns will retain the WWE Championship. It will be a match where I think you are right in the sense that Gallows and Anderson will be involved. I don't know if we see Finn Balor or not. There is the possibility that we do see him. I think they cost AJ Styles the match. I think Roman Reigns walks away with the belt, and it could be, how do I want to phrase this? It could be that Roman Reigns is in collusion with those guys. This could all be a giant work, and it could be that they set up Roman Reigns to take over what we are calling the Bullet Club right now that could turn into the Roman Empire. And it could be that Roman decides that it's not one versus all anymore. That didn't work. Now it's going to be Roman and his crew versus everybody.
And I could be okay with that because that guy needs some serious work.
He needs work, but he needs work away from the championship. And I think that's really what the problem that everyone has right now. I don't think people honestly have a problem with Roman Reigns. I think what people have a problem with is the presentation that we are given with Roman Reigns.
Well, the other issue is, I always go back to The Rock when talking about Roman Reigns. There was a time where people were chanting at the top of their lungs, "Die, Rocky, die." And you know what? Instead of just, well, I'm not the bad guy. I'm not the good guy, but I'm not the bad guy. Rocky's like, all right, give it to me. Give me all you got, you jackasses. You can't touch me because I'm the best there is. And Roman doesn't have that in him. He can't. They take an old mic out of his hand because he can't cut a promo. He's incapable of speaking for himself.
Psychologically, there has to be something about going in front of 15,000 people and having them all drown you in booze. Psychologically, there has to be something that affects you. But what I think,
But that's why Vince is paying him $15 million.
and that's what he needs to realize, and that's what would probably help him more, is that he needs to understand, and if he hasn't gotten it yet, I don't know at what point he will get it, but even with 6 months of boos under his belt, even longer than that, because he was getting booed at WrestleMania last year. He got booed
at
at
Royal
Rumble last year. With all of this behind him and the fact that he still has the belt and he is still on top, even with his dad jeans on the internet, nothing can touch him. And the minute that he realizes that nothing can take him down right now, and he starts to play it that way, when he does go full cocky, when he does start treating it, he needs to treat us all like he's better than us, because guess what? He is.
I don't think he has it in him, to be perfectly honest.
I think he does, but I think he has it in him in a not confrontational or a not malicious I'm better than you. It's like a childish I'm better than you. And what he needs to be is he needs to be the angry I'm better than you. And once we get to that point with him, he'll be fine.
Like I said, if him being the leader of the Bullet Club or Roman Empire or whatever the hell they do gets him to that point, I'm okay, because they can tell better stories if he's a better actor.
So either way, none of that side stuff, Gallows, Anderson, Finn Balor, none of that matters on our actual predictions. Like we said at the beginning, these are going to be just who wins the match. So running down the list, no added flair. Let's just go through and put our winners out there in a very concise manner. Going all the way back to the U.S. Championship, I take Kalisto.
I take Ryback.
I take Baron Corbin over Dolph Ziggler.
So do I.
I take Kevin Owens over Sami Zayn.
Samey.
I've got Dean Ambrose over Jericho.
3 in a row.
Enzo and Cass over Vaudevillains.
4 in a row.
Charlotte over Natalya.
I got Natty.
We've got The Miz over Cesaro.
Mm-hmm.
And I take Roman Reigns to retain the heavyweight championship over AJ Styles.
And I'm taking AJ just because I can't bring myself to picking that jackass.
So we honestly have, it comes down to the U.S. Championship match, the Women's Championship, and the Heavyweight Championship. This whole thing,
the title matches are the only thing we disagree on.
Well, we agreed on the Intercontinental match, so really this all comes down to 3 matchups on Sunday night, and you best believe that I will be...
Did you just cut a Roman promo on me? You best believe that.
Oh, no, I wasn't trying to do that. I'm not making good predictions. I'm not making bad predictions. I'm just making the predictions.
I'm going to punch you right in the throat.
Careful, Icarus.
You're flying too close to the sun.
Oh, we are off the rails. All right, that is our Raw Meat Payback preview. You know that we will be coming back at you on Monday morning with a Payback recap and a Raw preview, and then we'll be back with a Raw Meat podcast after Raw next week. And depending on how crazy things get next week, if all of your predictions come to fruition, we may have to throw down an extra bonus podcast at some point next week.
Just call me Nostradamus.
I'm never calling you that. All right, that's it. That is the Raw Meat podcast.
I think you just like saying raw meat.
No,
you've said it 7 times in the past 30 seconds.
It's branding.
Raw meat.
We really need to end this now.
Yeah, let's feed Ryback some raw meat. Boom!
What's up, folks? This is WWE Superstar R-Truth, and you listen to the Raw Meat. That's what's up.